Hey, everybody.
About the dangers of artificial intelligence. And now that disease has become a reality, we have handed our lives over to Isaac, an unfeeling tech that decides who lives or dies. I don't trust it, and neither should you. And we cannot stand by and let dated ideals get in the way of progress.
Access key detected.
Will give you something worth believing in. Join us and be part of something great.
Progress halted. Manual override required.
Is it better for a man to die of disease? A bullet to the brain. At what point is death the merciful option? I'm not saying it's easy.
Progress resumed. Manual override required. Incoming hostiles detected. Access key detected.
Hey, Valk. Just trying out kind of a hodgepodge build. It's 3 pieces of strikers, 4 pieces of heartbreaker. With, well, it's fewer than that. It's 2 strikers, 3 heartbreaker with the ninja bike, and then using a slower rate of fire assault rifle just to try and keep things a little calmer. Basically, I'm getting assault rifle damage and weapon handling and rate of fire off strikers. So it's better weapon handling. And if you're wondering why I'm waiting for the skills to kill the elites, it's the Guardians Day 4 challenge. It's the last one. I got to get 5 more purple Guardian kills. Ray, no, I've gotten them. My best luck is actually on challenging. Yeah, Valk, everything's good. Ray, I get them randomly. I think the best luck that I've ever had was I did 3 Lincoln Memorials on challenging back to back to back, and I got an exotic drop on each one. 1 for completing it, and the other 2 were dropped by some of the bosses along the way. So maybe we'll give that a try. But no. Exotic drops happen everywhere. If you just want the components, heroic control points have the best option, followed by challenging control points. For open world, for the light zone, and then for dark zone, the landmark caches have the best chance. I believe it's 25% versus 10% for heroic control points, and I'm not sure what the percentage is for challenging. And we'll see if we can get anything to drop tonight. So basically all I'm doing is I'm just trying out a couple different builds for open world farming, for solo farming. I've got a video that's going to drop in the morning. No, it's truly, it's just random luck. That's all it comes down to. It's RNG, or random number generation. So far, this build seems to be doing all right. I'm running on challenging with 3 directives. And I'm going up a level about every 3rd-ish. Yeah, exactly. Lazarus is absolutely correct. It's random luck. Your chances increase with certain places, but you can get an exotic off of anybody. Well, that sucks.
Vital signs critical. Incoming hostiles detected.
And I don't know if you guys knew that. If you melee somebody who with the Guardians, if the yellow shield guy, the Guardian themselves, is behind cover and you can't get to them, if you melee any of the red icon people, it disables their the buff temporarily so that you can kill them. I just learned that recently, so. But getting those last, this eliminate veteran guardians, so purples are veterans, with skill kills has been painful. Ray, I completely understand. It's the story of my life.
Incoming hostiles detected. Detecting additional hostile contacts. Access key detected.
Like I was saying, I'm getting about a level every third activity on challenging with 3 directives. Division 3. Division 3, or I think it's Heartland, to be honest. The closed beta starts Tuesday. I'm signed up for it because somebody sent me an invite. I had to sign an NDA, so I can't discuss it until the NDA clause has expired, which I think is basically on release. But I am going to get a chance to play the game starting Tuesday. So I'm going to have to reread the NDA to see what I can discuss. You know, I think it might just be simply a matter of I'm really enjoying the game. It's got a lot of promise. How's the inventory doing? We're good. I have a sneaking suspicion Heartlands isn't going to be for everybody because it's PvPvE. So it's kind of like the Dark Zone, which again, Dark Zone isn't for everybody, so hard to know. I think anybody can sign up for it. You have to be in North America. It's PC only. Other than that, I don't know a lot about it. One of my clan members sent me an invite link, so that's how I ended up on it. Hey, Max.
Access key detected.
The true sons don't give a damn about your past transgressions. We don't
Override required. Progress.
I got one purple left to get. And that's it. I'm done. Not for the evening, but there he is.
Override required.
So all 4 days is now taken care of. Finally. All right. I'm going to run back to the White House, and I'm looking for build suggestions for things that you guys want to see tried out. Lazarus, that sucks. Well, that's this version of the beta. My understanding is it's going to get opened up further and further as they go along, but this is sort of the first step towards them launching Heartland, which is really good news. Ray, unfortunately with the NDA, I won't be able to stream any of it. So, I mean, yeah, I'm going to have to go back and reread the language of the NDA, but yeah, the long and short of it is there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. I can't stream it. I can't really talk about it even. So I started running around 30 minutes ago, and in 30 minutes I've gone up 4 levels, which is not spectacular, but it's 4 levels. And that's not using any overly complex kind of build. So the build itself, I'm running Kingbreaker with the Technician for the linked laser pointer. I'm running 3 pieces of Heartbreaker and 2 pieces of Strikers, and those were chosen on purpose to get the rate of fire and weapon handling from Strikers, and then the AR damage and weapon handling from Heartbreaker, because I knew I was going to run with the Kingbreaker. I wanted to run something that I could put the linked laser pointer on, so that's the reason that I'm not running with St. Elmo's. You can make it work with Heartbreaker. You just have to hit headshots is basically it. It's not that hard. It's one more thing to think about. Ooh, that's a good question, Ray. Let me put together a couple of different builds for you just to demonstrate. Basically, you want to try and hit 50% or greater of crit chance, and then after that, max out your crit damage. If you don't have high crit damage, crit chance is going to help, but it's not going to help that much. So there's a little bit of a balancing act that takes place there, and it's usually somewhere around 50 to 55%. I was just watching a video earlier today where someone was talking about the maths involved with figuring out what's the best crit chance to run if you're using, say, Coyote's Mask, and you don't like the fact that it's the crit damage that you get is variable, and where do you set it and what do you do with it. So basically his determination was is if there's a single Coyote's Mask or if you're running solo, 55% is where you want to be. And that sounds a little bit counterintuitive because most people say, well, you should be at 50%. And again, based on his testing and his math, he was at 10.7 with the build. So it was a 4-piece Strikers, 1-piece Grupo, and Coyotes is the build that he had put together. Obliterate on the Grupo chest piece. With that, there was about a 3% difference in damage output between close range and medium range is basically what it comes down to. And I'll show the Coyotes, and this will make perfect sense in just a second. Just let me dump this stuff first. And I'm making a much more concerted effort to finish maxing out my my library, and it's still I'm still picking away at it, but that's the reason for coming back here and doing this first. So let me load in my Strikers. And let's see if I have a Grupo that we can put on here. We can make this one work. Oh, I do have another one. Focus. Obliterate. Perfect. So with this build, we've got 4 pieces of Strikers. This one has crit damage with a crit damage mod. This one has crit chance. This one has crit chance. This one has crit chance. This has headshot and crit damage, which is slightly imperfect, but, and again, the Coyotes is crit chance and crit damage. So from a stats perspective, we're at 43% crit chance with 106.5% crit damage. And that's with the Police M4. If I switch to St. Elmo's, that should put our crit chance up because of its mods. Yeah, we're at 53% and 126.5. That's kind of the way I've got this build set up now is for the St. Elmo's. I think I've got one more 11.8. Nope. Okay, so with fully modded up, we're at 53 and 150.3 crit chance. If we go down to the range, so again, the world's on challenging. I'm going to use the named as our baseline for testing. And I'm also going to shoot at close range, which for the Coyotes buff, that's going to give us 25% more crit damage. So that's going to take us up to 175% crit damage. And we fired 5 mags. We're at 10.89 million. So if I come out, and how am I going to pull some crit chance off?
Good to see you. You need anything?
So now we're at 47. We've got much higher crit damage. So, but we're going to be critting less often. Less than half the time, basically, now. Wouldn't you know it? Of course it's more. Yeah. So it's actually hitting harder. Let's pump this out to the medium range and see what happens. So it would be 15 to 25. So we'll set this to 15. Just going to ammo up. So we're actually hitting slightly harder at 15 meters. The problem you consistently run into using Coyotes, just as an example, is the amount of damage you do is variable. But I'm really liking this, actually. So we're going to go try running this, actually. It's min armor. That's the downside to it. You know, and you know what? One thing I wasn't doing is making sure Strikers was fully stacked up. So that nullifies the test. Give me 1 second. So if you see the green icon in the middle bottom, that's the green bar under that is my Striker stacks. All right, we're fully stacked up. I'm going to reset the counter. So we'll call the average about 15.8 million. This time it's very apparent. You can see the damage fall off because we don't have that benefit of all that additional crit damage. Now I'm going to go put the crit chance back on to bring it back up to 53%.
Crafting something?
And we'll see if it makes a difference. To be honest, I really don't know. Yeah, okay, so I didn't really explain Strikers if you're brand new to this. So Strikers, especially with the backpack, 2-piece gives you weapon handling, 3-piece gives you 15% rate of fire, and then 4-piece is what we have. It gives us Striker's Gamble. So weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 60.65, stacking up to 100 times, so 65%. But with the backpack, it increases the damage gain from 0.65 to 1, so it's actually 100% additional weapon damage, which is why it's important that you be fully stacked up. You want a high rate of fire assault rifle, which the St. Elmo's engine is. My favorite before the St. Elmo's engine was the Police M4. And the fastest way to build your stacks is actually with a high rate of fire shotgun like the ACS-12. This build has the Rock and Roll, which is the named version. It has a bigger magazine. That's the only difference between it and an ACS-12. Each shot is 8 pellets, and each pellet counts as a hit. So you're getting 8, if you're hitting, you're getting 8 pellets on target to build your stack. So it happens very, very quickly. So you can see my Strikers is not buffed at all. And now I'm fully stacked. And I think it was 15.8 was our average for the last one. We're actually down about 200,000 damage. It's still really respectable numbers, close range. So the extra crit damage was more important than the crit chance in this particular case. And again, the damage is down. So I actually like this better, just under 50% with higher crit damage. But that's... a lot of it comes down to hitting your shots. Now, I'm also hitting all headshots with this, which I tend not to do in the real world. I'll do it in the range where the target isn't moving, but in the real world, I aim center body. Basically right there is where my aiming point is, simply because I know I'm going to hit it. So I'm going to revert this back to the higher crit damage. And then the question becomes, what if you don't have coyotes? Because not everybody does. What would I run in its place? I would probably, in this case, either run, don't think I'd run Cheska without reconfiguring. No, you know what? I probably would run Cheska. Give me 1 second. See what we've got. So that's going to take us up over the cap. No, it's at 58%. So there was another piece on there where I could reduce the crit damage. Is it the gloves? Yes. Or reduce the crit chance. So we're at 52% and 175.5% crit damage. The advantage of using Ceska Grupo or Cheska Grupo, however you pronounce that, with Strikers, is your damage is consistent. There's no random element to your range. So therefore your damage is not situational. Your damage output should be the same at all ranges. So we'll get our Striker stacks back up. So a little over 16 million DPS. And again, take that number with a little bit of a grain of salt, because that number on named is going to depend on what your world level is set to, etc., etc. So we're using it as a reference point, not an absolute, if that makes sense. I don't put a whole lot of stock in those numbers. Similarly, when I hear guys saying, oh, this build will give you 15 million DPS, it's like, yeah, with what settings? And are you running it through a calculator to see if that's the actual number you're getting? So take those claims with a grain of salt. But this is actually very similar to how I've got my basically max DPS strikers set up for doing legendary content. The only difference is actually this chest piece and the rifle. So now that I've completely reconfigured it, it's going to skew everything, but I'll put it back together at some point. But I'm running a Grupo chest piece. It's the other one in here. It's the one with focus, if I can find it. And then I switch to my Police M4 with an 8 power scope. And probably there it is. Yeah, this setup. So we've got crit chance, the CQBSS scope, which is an 8 power scope, which is what you need in order to proc focus, and then the big mag. With this setup the way it is right now, we're at 48% crit chance, which is not bad. 155 crit damage. Headshot damage is at 105. This scope takes a lot of getting used to. Ray, you're on World Tier 5. Okay, so you're not going to have Grupo Cheska to play with. Basically, the way you want to put together the same build is 3 pieces of Providence. For a max DPS build anyway, 3 pieces of Providence, 1 piece of Fenris, Contractor's Gloves, and the Fox's Prayer knee pads. That's going to basically max out your damage. I don't know if you can get this gear set at World Tier 5. I don't remember. I don't think you can. I think it was one of the additions when after Warlords of New York came out. Now, with this setup, you can see it's a zoomed scope, and this, you can see the binoculars ticking up. That's focus. So once that's maxed out, I have max focus. What that gives you is 5% for every second you're aiming, up to 50%. So that gives me increase of 50% total weapon damage. Yeah, I didn't think you could get strikers World Tier 5. So let's get my stacks up. Now I've got focus and strikers fully stacked. Missed a couple shots there. So I actually like the other build better in terms of its damage output, but focus and the big scope do give you an advantage in certain situations, which I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail right now, but we're going to switch back to the other build and try some open world farming with this. It's pretty squishy, so that's the caveat with running a build like this. Its survivability is not as high. I don't have all the know-how. I've got a lot of know-how. It comes from playing a lot. And I am a massive consumer of YouTube, so it's watching other content creators as well. And what are we at for stars? 14. All right. That's probably the closest. So I'm running the small shield. And a revive hive, which is probably going to be important. The way I typically farm though would be with a with the striker drone. I like the fact this combination of skills. Oh, I've already got the shield. We got the drone. Striker shield and drone is probably my favorite combination. Shield for obvious reasons, because it's a squishy build, so I need a little bit of protection. But the drone draws aggro and does a little bit of extra damage. With certain enemies, the advantage of having the drone out there is it'll turn heavies around so that you can shoot them in the butt. Chunga, the big armored enemies, the Chungas, are not, their Heine has no armor. So it's the best place to shoot them. So this is going to do a lot of damage very quickly, but you also run the risk of going down very quickly. If I didn't say it, I'm running the gunner specialization because that gives you armor on kill. That's really your only built-in survivability with this build.
Detected. Nearby location. Guarded by hostiles.
But you're only at, well, at level 40 with the fully maxed out watch. You're at 745k of armor.
There was a time when we could have all worked together. That dream died when we were herded like cattle into that disease-infested cesspit. There will be no justice until all those responsible have met their maker.
Hostiles. Guarding location nearby. Access key detected.
With the RPM we're getting, one thing to understand is you can dump an entire magazine off target. So your accuracy numbers can seriously suffer.
Do people think DC is septic? Rotten to the core.
Yeah, it absolutely shreds. But the only way we get the damage up higher is with, instead of Grupo, using the glass cannon, but that's even riskier. I was lucky. I don't know how risky it's going to be at challenging though, because I don't think we've taken a shot yet doing this kind of stuff. So let's see if I can get somewhere relatively safe. I'm going to lose some crit damage by doing this, but it's going to further amplify the weapon damage. So we'll give that a try. Because really tonight, that's what this is all about. It's just trying stuff out. Oh, this gun is an absolute laser rifle, and Strikers increases your weapon handling as well. Hey, we got a new subscriber. It's partially hidden, but I think it's Nathan. I don't know. It's partially hidden by something on the screen. So we want... I don't have one here. Give me a sec. Run back to the White House. So by taking the Grupo piece off, this one has Obliterate, which increases your damage by 1% for 5 seconds up to 25 times. So 25% additional damage. As soon as you stop firing, though, these stacks go away. So you're basically near the end of your magazine, and you're at max stacks, and then it drops back down. If we go to, and it gives us, with the brand set bonus, it gives 15% crit damage. We've got headshot damage, crit damage, and crit damage. So I keep changing my mind as to what I want to do. But what we're going to do before we put it in is actually have a look at the stats. So the Sacrifice gives us perfect glass cannon. I think this is probably my best one. Yeah. So from a stats perspective, we're currently sitting at 52 and 175.5, which is ginormous numbers for what it is. And we're not even getting the strikers all the way up. But if we put in the Sacrifice, we're getting additional headshot damage. And we'll put the same mod back in, which is my only... For all the time I've been playing, I've gotten exactly one perfect crit damage mod. So, random number generation at its finest. So we were at 50, what did I say, 52 and 175? It's going to be about 160? Yeah, 58 and 160. Memento gives a lot of benefits because once you're fully stacked, you've got 30% additional weapon damage, which is about the same as Obliterate. You've got 3% armor regen. You've also got skill efficiency, which is all of the skill stats rolled into one, and that's 30% as well. So your drone does, if you're using the drone, 30% skill damage, 30% skill haste, 30% status effects, and there's always one that I'm missing. Yep, I've definitely got a Coyote mask build. We will put that on in just a second. I might have to switch characters. I think. No, we can do it with this one. I can switch the Coyotes out with this, actually. What we'll do is we'll run it with this, and then I'll switch to Coyotes, just so that you can see the difference. But slightly more, or more crit chance, less crit damage, higher headshot damage. And this is the important part about understanding where your damage is coming from. This one now has amplified damage. So all damage you deal is amplified by 30%. So what does that mean? Every time you fire a bullet, you've got your base damage that the bullet produces. And then random number generation determines, is that a crit? If it is, it takes your crit damage modifier, which in our case is 160%, and increases, which is additive, the total number. Basically, it takes your base damage and increases that by 150%. If you've got other damage modifiers in here, like your weapon damage, those come into play. So let's assume that Strikers is fully maxed out in this particular case. So that initial bullet is now double from Strikers, and then 160% on top of that for a crit, if it's a crit. If it's a headshot that you hit, it looks at the headshot bonus. So a crit headshot is your max damage before you've got any multipliers. The multipliers are your amplified, and what that does is at the very end of that equation in the brackets of all the additions, it multiplies, in this case, by 1.3. If we had another, like if we had a different backpack in here that also had an amplifier as well, which I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but if I did, it would be 1 times 1.3 times whatever it happened to be. So That's very powerful in terms of increasing the total raw damage. Your amplified damages are also health damage, damage to targets out of cover, and damage to armor. So again, all of those things take place after all the additions to find your base. Well, it takes your base damage and converts that into everything inside the brackets, and then it starts multiplying the additional things. So if, in this case, if the target's out of cover, it's times 1.3 times 1.1. If that same target is out of armor or it's a red bar, it's times 1.3 times 1.1 times 1.21. And on and on and on it goes. So that's basically what the math is doing under the hood, if you will. So your multipliers are very powerful, but increasing your crit number before you get there helps as well, because you've got a bigger raw number to multiply. So they all play into each other. But your biggest bonuses are going to be your multipliers. Now, the downside, and I don't think I touched on this, is all damage that I take is amplified by 60%. So they are, if I get tagged, it's going to hurt. But this build itself should absolutely shred. It's not without its downside, though. Like I said, you know, you're a glass cannon. That's it in a nutshell. Well, that was quick. And I've said this before, don't be afraid of the amplified incoming damage, because if they're dead, they can't shoot back. Where I run into trouble is I overextend and get in too close. And then get surrounded. And once you've got people shooting at you from all sides, you're pretty much screwed. They should come out of this truck over here. Now, builds like this are a shit ton of fun when you're playing solo, and until you get yourself into trouble, and then once you're in trouble, they suck.
Guarding location nearby.
Start enjoying the little
Progress resumed.
So you can see the damage numbers I'm getting per bullet up on screen. I've got them set to print into the chat, but we're getting, you know, as high as 800,000 per bullet, which is not bad, not bad at all actually. I don't know when those happened, but that was obviously a crit headshot, because that was a single bullet. Now, all I'm going to change on the build at this point is just swap out the Coyote's mask. So this one has the 11.8. Put Coyotes in, change the mod. It's got an 11.8 in it already,
Detected. Nearby location. Guarded by hostiles.
which is going to drop our apparent crit chance down and our crit damage down slightly because this piece is not optimized. But depending on what range I'm shooting at, wrong one. I'm either going to be getting additional crit damage, crit chance and crit damage, or just crit chance. Close range is better with this build. This is going to suck because they're hiding. And you can see how much damage I took very, very quickly with those pistol rounds because I didn't have the shield up. But I've got all my armor back from the armor on kill from Gunner. Again, a build like this, when you're in a group and you're in competition for kills, it's harder to play. This is really, really easy to play solo because you get all the kills. Once you're, again, in a group, it's not a competition, but you are in competition for the kills. So it becomes a lot harder. All right, no context. Got to run with a healer. Yeah, exactly. You can't play too hard. You can't overextend. That's it in a nutshell. Now, with a healer, you can get away with a lot more, but the cool thing about Coyotes is you can run it on any build.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
Where are they coming from? Here they are.
Somewhere. Flush him out. Right?
So a build like this is high risk, high reward. But when you run into trouble, you're in trouble.
Can I ever think
When I get the Henri, I've been looking for that for a bit. So I just picked up this bounty, but I don't want it to go after it right now. So I'm going to save it. And the way you do that is if you hover your mouse over it on PC, hit G, which would be go to details if you look at the bottom middle of the screen. And then I'm going to abort bounty by pressing F. So I've saved that for later. It stays in the list is basically what it does. So if you're running a lot of these with the global events where you have to do bounties, this is what I save these up for. What was I looking for? I think it was the Henri. So the reason for wanting this is it's got perfect companion. I don't know if this is broken or a correct feature, but companion is Okay, this is amplified damage by 20%. So let's put this on. Let's put on, which do I have that's got companion? Hang on. My DZ build. Okay, so my Walker and Harris has companion, which is 15%. If I change out my chest from Fenris with Unbreakable to the new Henri, that's got headshot damage. We're going to change that. What was it? Headshot and skill haste. I want a weapon damage core, so we'll just go with that for now. So that is body armor. Henri, change the skill tier to a weapon damage core. Where are we at stats wise? We're at 44%, so I'm going to want probably crit chance. Now, that's actually with the Eagle Bearer. So like I said, this is my DZ build. How then am I proccing Companion? I'm actually, and I'll do this down in the range before we go out, and I'm actually going to swap out the Eagle Bearer for the St. Elmo's. And then we will end up having to take the crit chance mod out. So yeah, double companion. So basically the way this works is while you're within 5 meters of an ally or skill, total weapon damage is increased by 15%. And then on this one, same thing, but it's 20%. So I'm getting 35% damage. So how do I have a skill beside me all the time? Couple ways to do it. The way I'm doing it is with the Seeker Mine. Basically, while I'm running around, if it's on my Q key to activate it. If I double tap Q, it drops it at my feet, and that's now going to follow me around. And Companion is procced. And the duration on that is about 2.5, 3 minutes-ish. This is actually a Defender drone, so it will do the same thing. Again, DZ's fighting is a lot different. It's all about surviving a quick burst of damage. But for something like this, if you're up against an armored enemy, it's not the same as a named, but it's close. With Companion procced, it was about a mag. And see how my character is now red? That means that I've procced the Eagle Bearer's tenacity buff. So if I was to get a couple of kills now, I can shrug off. If I get 3 kills right now, I could shrug off 100% of the damage I take while tenacity's active. Fixer drone's also a really, really good one for this. Absolutely. So, if you wanted to run something that you could actually use for doing damage, or the shield as an example. So let's run this with my... it's active, and we're in combat. It's going to take it a few minutes to cool down. And then change the drone to the Fixer drone. That's going to stay right with me. It's going to help me. I'm going to switch from the Eagle Bearer because not everybody, and I hesitate to use these, but you can see the damage that I'm generating with it. It's silly how high the damage is with it. And that's largely because of the way the build is structured. But I'm also at 1.5 million armor, so it's a decent build. We're now at 59, so we want to get rid of that crit chance, put crit damage on there. And I'm positive I've got another 11.8, so bear with me here for a second. Yes. No, wrong one. Oops. All right, so we're at 54% crit chance, 112.6 crit damage, 91.6 headshot damage. So I want to be taking headshots where possible. 1.5 million armor. And the way this breaks down in terms of the build, because I haven't gone over the pieces, I'm running Catharsis. So as I take damage, I increase my damage. And then once it hits the max cap, or once it hits its max stacks, it purges, which puts out a healing cloud that restores 5% of my max armor for 10 seconds. And that's for me and all my allies. I'm running one piece of Walker and Harris, which increases weapon damage. There's actually two pieces of Walker and Harris on here. So I've got increased weapon damage and increased damage to armor. Weapon damage, crit chance, and headshot damage. And then a crit damage mod. We're now running the Henri, which is also headshot damage, and skill haste, which, again, this isn't optimized yet, but skill haste is going to help my fixer drone come back quicker. So it's not the end of the world. Second piece of Walker and Harris. This one got rolled to armor, crit damage, and crit chance. Picaro's holster with crit chance. Again, that effectively gives you another weapon damage core. It also gives us more skill haste, which again helps our skills come back quicker. And then Fox's Prayer rolled to armor. So 1.5 million armor. You saw some of the stats. Very high weapon damage, and that's because of the Walker and Harris pieces that are on here. Good crit chance, good crit damage. And then I'm not running Gunner on this one, so there is a slight bit of armor regeneration, and there's also the armor regeneration that comes from Catharsis. So that's where your armor regen is coming from. Plus, I'm going to run the fixer drone. So let's find somewhere to go. So this is actually the build I would run in the DZ currently, because Unbreakable, and if someone can answer this in the comments, everybody keeps commenting on the fact that Unbreakable is broken, but I don't know what the broken part of it is. I just understand that it's not working as intended, but I don't know what or how it's not working as intended. Excuse me while I just dive randomly to the side. And I know the Henri was part of the Seasons track, but like a dummy, I deconstructed mine very early on. So I know we're going to go for the propaganda broadcast, but I've got a yellow guy over here that I can take out and then give me the Guardians debuff. So there's that healing cloud. And these guys usually spawn in over here. The disadvantage of the fixer drone is it doesn't last as long as the it doesn't last as long as the Seeker Mine, but it lasts long enough. The cool thing about Guardians is it's kind of like Golden Bullet. Your build doesn't matter a lot once you've got the buff. Just because of the rate of fire increase you get. It's silly. And like I said, this world's on challenging with 3 directives. So it's hard enough.
Manual override required.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, that was 4 in one clip. God bless 70 rounds. So, let's see what the cooldown is for the drone. 19 seconds. That's actually not bad. With the little bit of armor regen that I've got on this, I could pull into cover at that point and just stay hidden and let it regen slightly.
Hostile control point detected.
Now, this is a level 4 control point. I make no promises that I'm going to survive this, but we'll see what happens. Would help if I didn't miss every shot. There we go. Don't want that guy behind us. I have to accept it. Come on, get out of cover. There we go. Missed every shot there. So my shield's going to fail here. Yep.
Serious trauma detected.
Heal, kick, heal, heal, heal. Come on, come on. Nope, I'm going to die. Here we go.
Immediate medical assistance needed. Agent killed.
Remember I was saying about overextending and getting in too close? Yeah. Pick me. Let's try that again.
Welcome back to Rooftops Radio with Carrie. So, the coolest freaking thing in the universe.
It was close. With the global event not active, probably might have had a slightly better chance. But then I also wouldn't be doing as much damage as quickly, so... Ooh, owie, 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 owie.
Vital signs critical.
Ah, this is gonna suck. Yep.
Agent vital signs 0.
That was less close.
Random shit into something useful is incredible. The division is lucky to have
Rogue agent detected.
I think I went the wrong way. Ray, try a skill build, and then let the skills do the heavy lifting. That's how I started doing heroic control points. And in fact, if you want to have a quick example of that, tell you what, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to run to the washroom real quick to have a bio break so that I don't lose the ability to concentrate, which is rapidly occurring. Are those? All right, as I was saying, just give me 1 sec. I'm going to park myself back in the safe zone and run to the washroom, and then I'll show you what I mean with a skill build. So I will be right back, guys. I am back. I've got 2 different versions of a skill build. There is one, I call it flexible skill because the skills are irrelevant. It's whatever the situation determines. This is an all yellow build. I'm using the survivalist. And I can't remember why. I think it's for the flame grenade, I think. It could be argued I'd be better off accepting the fact that I'm already at 6 tiers, putting an armor core on here or a weapon damage core, and using technician class because of its increased skill damage. This is just the build that I've had this together for so long, I don't even remember why I put it together like this, but I'm running survivalist. Capacitor, Harmony, which gives you perfectly in sync. I happen to be running the Orbit Pistol, and then it is basically the template, if you want to call it a template. It's 3 pieces of Empress, because that gives you skill health, skill damage, and skill efficiency. Skill efficiency is huge. Everything is rolled skill haste and skill damage. And then it's 2 pieces of Hanny U. In this case, I'm using tech support so that the skill kills increase total skill damage by 25% for 25 seconds. So the skills buff themselves for doing damage. So this is the build that I can launch the 2 skills and then sit behind cover and let them do their thing. The chest piece is another piece of Empress. This one has kinetic momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1% and total skill repair by 2% up to 15 stacks. So again, the skills are buffing themselves by an additional 15%. The third piece of Empress, this one actually has crit chance, and that's partly for one of my other builds. I replaced skill haste on here, and what you'll find if you put one of these together with max skill haste is your like 8-second cooldown between or 9 seconds cooldown between using your skills. If you were to change all your skill haste to crit chance, your skill your cooldown will only go up to about 12-15 seconds. So it's not a bad trade-off because you get increased damage for the capacitor or whatever you're using as your weapon of choice. Second piece of Hanny U, skill damage, skill haste, and then the last piece is Wyvern because of skill damage. And the reason for the 2 pieces of Hanny U is it's skill haste and skill damage. So basically I've leaned as far as I can into both skill haste and skill damage and skill efficiency. So that's version 1. This is using the assault turret. And you can see its cooldown currently is 14 seconds. It's a tier 6 and its damage is... I'd have to look at the stats. Anyway, the Striker Drone is the other one. From a stats perspective, the weapon's nothing to write home about. But if I were to increase the crit chance, which I'll show you on the second build, the Capacitor actually has 75% crit hit damage because of the way it's designed with its mods. So if you up your crit chance, the weapon starts to hit harder and harder and harder. And that's kind of how the second build is set up. Is it's intended to be, you're intended to do as much shooting as your skills. Bullet damage for the drone. Where are we here? Damage 129.7. Keep doing that by accident. I'm going to press every button except the one I want. And then the drone is doing 81,000. So this one hits pretty. This hits very hard from a skill. This is effectively a meta skill build. This is how you want to build it. So it's 3 piece of Empress, 2 of Hanyu, 1 piece of Wyvern. The other build can be used for legendaries. And the way I've set it up, it's running Memento. So you do need to stack Memento up before it starts to hit where you want it. Fully stacked with just the long-term buffs. You get, based on your yellow cores, you get 5% skill efficiency. So we're at 4 skill tiers. So that's 20%. Am I doing that math right? 20%. Yeah, 20% skill efficiency. There's actually more yellow cores than that. Those are just the ones that are showing. It's a 6 skill tier build. So it's actually 30% skill efficiency is what I'm getting from this. For the blue cores, I'm getting 10% bonus armor. So it's 30% and 5% weapon damage for the red cores. I'm getting 5% additional weapon damage, which is not a massive amount. So that's Memento. I'm running the Picaro's holster with armor regen. I could reroll. Actually, that got changed from a different. That should be skill damage. So, but I'm running 2 piece of Brazos, which is skill haste and skill tier, and this should be skill damage. So it got changed for a different build, and that happens to me all the time. The mask is your second piece, again, skill damage, crit chance, and armor. And then it's 3 pieces of Empress. So this one, you can see it's far from being optimized. It's skill damage and crit chance. Crit chance and skill damage. And that should be, well, it is. It's damage and haste. From a stats perspective, I don't think I'm modded. With this one, you've got a lot of different ways to pick your poison, if you will. If I was playing Legendary, I'd be using Protection from Elites mods. It could be argued that's not a bad choice for what we're about to do here. But it's only heroic, and I say that a lot tongue-in-cheek. Seven. So from a stats perspective, we are at 52% chance, 75% damage, 75% headshot damage. So the gun is going to do decent damage, and then the skills do very similar damage. Now, you may be wondering, how is this a 6 skill tier, even though I'm only showing 4? There's a passive skill tier here. It's not passive, but it's a brand set skill tier. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 from the main cores. There's 1 in here for the second attribute from Brazos. And then the last is the passive coming from Technician. So there's our 6 skill tiers. I got Memento from originally doing it the hard way. It was part of Season 8, I think, part of the year track for Season 8. If you don't have Warlords of New York, I recommend you go get it, if you can afford it. Last time I looked, it was $6. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know if it's still on sale. But once you've got Warlords, it gives you once you've completed the DLC, you've got level 40, you've got the watch levels, you have all the season pass stuff. You can get it from exotic caches and targeted loot. I don't know if there's any other ways currently. But yeah, I don't know what the chance of getting it at World Tier 5 is. I know some of my World Tier 5 characters have it, but that was a memento that I reconfigured to level 30. I don't know if you can get it natively at level 30, but again, it's an I don't know. I think you can, but I'm not positive. But if you enjoy playing the game, Warlords makes the game that much better, if you will, from a content perspective. So we'll see if we can get a few memento stacks before we go engage this. And until memento is stacked up, it feels like you're shooting Nerf darts. Not good.
Medical assistance needed.
I had that one guy with almost out of armor. And I'm going to call for...
Reinforcements incoming.
Here we go. Now, I will probably run out of ammo because I'm doing so much firing. big thing from a not running out of ammo perspective is making sure that you don't have two weapons that are you drawing from the same ammo pool. So don't run two assault rifles, basically.
Hostile broadcast picked up.
And a heal to get rid of that debuff. I hear a crazy person behind me. And I'm just letting my skills take care of some of this while I collect some of these memento stacks. And get ammo. They're probably not doing anything useful. Yeah, it's not going to do anything useful there, but it's better than not having it.
Agent incapacitated.
Yeah. And then don't hide behind a gas can. It's words to live by.
Hostile broadcast picked up.
Ever have those matches where these hurt afterwards because you're clenching
Access.
the mouse and, in my case, the controller? That was a little bit frantic. So yeah, the DLC apparently is still on sale, so it's definitely worth picking up. You know, for $5, it adds so much better content. It doesn't necessarily improve some of the downsides of the game, which I tend not to focus on. I mean, you know, game stability, deltas, all that sort of stuff. I mean, they happen. I get more benefit out or enjoyment out of the game than I get frustration. So it's a net win for me. I've yet to play a perfect game. So that was this build. And, you know, as I indicated earlier, absolutely. If you send me a Joseph, absolutely. If you send me a friend request on Ubisoft, it's Agent Meat without the space. Capital A, capital M. That's my username, and then I'll invite you to the group. So and by the way, for everybody that's in here, I extend that invitation to, you know, everybody. If you're in the stream, you're more than welcome to join in. So, I don't know how I missed this earlier. Or was that the named dude in the first half? I think it was. So, running back to the base of operations real quick. Exactly, Lazarus. Yeah, it absolutely is. It adds so much more utility to the game in terms of build diversity and all that other sort of stuff. I mean, people talk all the time about the lack of build diversity in the DZ, which is not to say, well, I mean, what am I on? My fourth build so far tonight. All are effective, all work. Some allow you to farm faster. I'm actually going to have to go back to the start of the stream to see what my actual watch level was when I started this, but that was 3, 4, I think I've gone up 7 levels since I've started this, which is a little over an hour ago. And all of this is basically for the sake of getting to 20 so that I can get another exotic cache. Call this an embarrassment of riches, but I have 4 characters. One of them is always my character that I run through Warlords, so that's the one that I use for getting scavenging points from its watch when it first drops. The other 3, this is my main character, so if you see me playing on the dude with the plaid shirt and the glasses and the toque, that's my main character. What do I need? Oh, so you'll need to send me a friend request through Ubisoft. So, okay, Smokey2238, give me a second. Can I do it? No, I can't do it this way. So, give me 1 sec. Yeah, shouldn't have done it that way. Don't know if I can add a friend through the mini one. No. And like a dummy, I just put it behind the game, and well, so I don't. Short of shutting the game down, I can't get to. Hang on for a second. We can try this. No, it's not going to let me do it. So you would need to go into the full version of Ubisoft and send me a friend request because I'm an idiot, basically. Yes, I am. I am on PC, so that's my Ubisoft name. So if you send me the friend request, that I can action. And yeah, it's the same as you see up there. It's Agent Meat, all one word, capital A, capital M. And no space between Agent and Meat. And just give me 1 second. I'm going to turn my fan on. It's starting to get warm in here. Okay, you've been added. Ray, I don't know the answer to that. I truly don't. All right, Joseph, you in game? Yeah, the new DLC is part of this, which I'm very much looking forward to the new content. I've been playing this game since about a month after it launched, so new content will not hurt. We'll just leave it at that. All right, let's clean out my inventory. And this usually makes people just cringe me deleting everything, but I've got basically everything I want. Oh, come on. Why is it doing that? There we go. Yeah, I've gone up 7 levels so far tonight. All right, back to builds. Less effective in a group is this headhunter style build. Basically, you're proccing determined. It's 4 pieces of hotshot, Walker and Harris perfect headhunter, so chain killer, and then the punch drunk mask. Oh, you're on PS4. Shit, there's no crossplay. Oh, bummer. Crossplay is one thing that they've never ever done with this game. Crap. I used to be able to do crossplay when Stadia was still a thing because Stadia enabled crossplay at their end. So I could play on my PC through Stadia and connect to PS4 or Xbox players. But yeah, there's no crossplay. That absolutely sucks, dude. We went through that for nothing. No, they have not ever done it. And I think when they were talking about the roadmap, I'm pretty sure that Yannick said it's not doable with the existing code. So we would need, hopefully they do it on Heartland, or if there's a Division 3, they do it on Division 3, but it's not available on Division 2, and I don't think it ever will be. F word. All right. Well then. Dude, that sucks. Anyway. One of the things that they re-enabled in 18.1 was determined. They made it work again. The card doesn't read correctly, but you can proc, or you can chain kill now again with the chain killer using determined with body shots once you've gotten your headshot damage up to where you need it to be. The caveat, and this was something that surprises me, is the Prophet has perfect determined. It will not. It will not re-trigger chain killer. So what I've got in there instead is the Regulus. This is it's a raid exclusive. There's a crafting chain that you have to go through, kind of like when you first put together the Liberty or the what's it called, the SMG, the Chatterbox, where you have to craft. There's like I said, there's a crafting recipe and you need parts for it. So you have to do a minimum of 2 Iron Horse raids in order to be able to get it. But it's a really cool pistol. It doesn't look like it's anything special until you read the talent card. Headshots create a 5-meter explosion, dealing 400% weapon damage and applying bleed to all enemies hit. There's actually a lot of the legendary speedrunners use a Hunter's Fury build built to headshot damage with the Regulus pistol because they get very close to people, pop somebody in the head. If you've blocked people in a doorway, it kills everybody. It's pretty spectacular. But basically the way I'm running this is the White Death with Determined and an 1886 with Determined. So I've got 2 different... Yeah, absolutely. Shame on Ubisoft. Oh, Determined is amazing. But yeah, the perfect version is not usable in this, and I can show that to you in the range real quick. It surprised me that regular Determined works just fine, but the perfect version does not. So we'll just set these to elites. And I'm getting some very strange lag here. So we'll just use the 1886 as or we'll use this one. So there's your first headshot. There's the kill. And now this is doing stupendous damage. Now I can take body shots and just keep chaining kills on body shots. I can switch to this. Whoops, not what I meant to do. And you can see I'm chaining kills with this. And it's 12 million per shot is what I'm seeing come up on the screen. Now, if I switch to Prophet and take a headshot, it still procs. It's at 8 million, 7 million, 8 million. First shot does it, and then nothing. If I go back to the White Death, finish that guy off, get the second shot for good measure, it'll proc all day long. And you'll notice that my ammo count is not going down, and that's because of hot shot. Those are all counting as headshots. So with the hot shot, with this build, using the marksman rifle, and that's the one that I'm sticking with, it increases the next headshot by 20%. And on top of that, sounds like a bad infomercial. Oh wait, there's more. So you're getting 30% additional marksman rifle damage, 30% weapon handling. Weapon handling is often underrated in your builds, but it's really important because weapon handling equates to stability and accuracy and reload speed. All of those help you hit more shots and decrease the amount of time between shots while you're reloading. So if it's a damage-based build, weapon handling is, if you can't have crit chance and crit damage, weapon handling is probably or headshot damage, depending on what type of build you're putting together. Weapon handling is your next best attribute. And then it's 30% headshot damage for the 4-piece, and we've got 4 pieces in here. First headshot with a marksman rifle will increase next headshot by 20%. Second consecutive with a marksman rifle will give plus 10 armor. If you're at full armor, it will give bonus armor to a max of 50% of your current armor value. Third consecutive headshot will refill the magazine. From the 4th headshot forward, you'll get all 3 bonuses for each consecutive headshot kill. Missing a headshot will reset the cycle. But with Determined, every shot, as long as you hit, counts as a headshot. So once you've procced the talent. And then Chain Killer just ensures that you've got the damage to keep killing with it. So as far as that's the 4 pieces. Now the backpack talent, agents can miss a headshot before resetting the cycle. So I've got 1 freebie, 1 mulligan. So I can have a miss. Then it's the Punch Drunk, because that gives you 20% headshot damage. And then the Named Walker and Harris, which gives you perfect Chain Killer or perfect Headhunter. This one is weapon. It gives you plus 5% weapon damage. It's max weapon damage here, crit damage, and headshot damage with a headshot damage mod. I think I've got 10% headshot damage mods across the board on this. So after killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 150% of that killing blow's damage. Not bad. Damage is capped to 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1250 if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. So the goal when you're setting up one of these builds is to exceed that with all of your weapons. If you go into your stats, you can see that with my rifle, I'm at 347% headshot damage. If I press and hold G, it's the weapon swap, or it swaps to my next weapon. So we're now on the 1886. It's at 230% headshot damage, and the Regulus is at 265. So all of them will proc Chain Killer. 2 of them will proc Chain Killer, or proc the perfect Headhunter talent, no matter where I hit. The Regulus, and my bad on that. Let's go back and look at the stats. I had the wrong pistol in there. It's 260% headshot damage. With the Regulus, I have to hit consecutive headshots in order to keep perfect Headhunter rolling. But you can see the reticle on it is not like a normal pistol. It actually gives you a dot in the center of the bucket. And you can hear the explosion. You just don't see the benefit of it. And you'll notice the ammo count going down with this. It's because it's not a marksman rifle, so hot shot is not giving you anything additional for that. So with this build, it's entirely possible to go to all 5 directives because you're not really relying on your skills, and it doesn't matter that you need pistols to get your first bunch of ammo. But let's do this real quick just to see how it's working. And then I'm going to take a 5-minute break to use the washroom and refill my water bottle, get some fluids in me. I'm starting to dry out. Excuse me. And I don't know if I answered your comment, Lazarus. Yes, Determined is incredible. I am so happy that they brought it back. I did a YouTube video a while ago for, you know, one of the best ways to farm. And it's not the only way to farm, but it's so much fun. I think within that video I was taking on... Oops, missed. There we go. Miss. And you can see that was a 20 million damage shot. In the torso, it was a body shot. But yeah, Determine is incredibly fun. I think the best build I had set up was Hunter's Fury. 4-piece Hunter's Fury set to headshot damage, a D50 with regular Determined, and the big shield.
America is dead. It's survival of the fittest. The hyenas are the fittest. We are kings and queens of this new jungle. The division are pushing you into submission. They're trying to consolidate power.
Now let's see if I can get that headshot explosion.
And the hyenas aren't letting it happen again.
Now that explosion,
Access key detected.
if you can do that in a group, will wipe out the entire group.
Override required.
Animals preying on each other, doing what we must to survive.
Progress resumed. Manual override required.
Miss. Miss.
The outcasts want you dead. They are brutal, heartless creatures who won't stop. Charred remains smoldering in their
Yeah, let's see if I can put together that
Civilians.
Heartbreaker build real quick. Right after I take a quick break. Yeah, right? I might have to switch characters because I think the D50 is on my raid character. But we'll do that when I get back. I'm just going to have a quick look in here. Yeah. So I'll run you through my characters when I get back. But I'm going to take 5, rehydrate, use the washroom, and I will be right back, everyone. Everyone, I'm back. Oh, hey, Ray. See you in the next stream, buddy. That was it was great chatting with you this evening. So, I'm not logging out. I'm just switching characters here for a second. So, as I started to say, I've got my main. I've got a level 40 character with no watch levels applied that I use for some of my new level 40 series of videos, if you will. And that would be this character. So it is a level 40 character, but I've not on purpose applied any watch levels. And again, it's on purpose because one of the things that really used to piss me off when I started playing and I started watching people's builds is they'd have these meta builds and then you look at their watch level and it's like 3,000-4,000, like mine is. And I couldn't even remotely come close to the builds that they were putting together. They just didn't work because I was missing those important 10% attributes from the watch. So when I do a video, I'm very careful to point out that, you know, if it's my main max character, this is a high-end build. If this is aimed at people that are brand new to level 40 and they're just getting started and they're starting to farm, this is the character that I use for that because there's no watch levels. And in fact, so the main point of that is when you put the build together, even if you copy and paste it directly, you're going to either match what I've done or probably if you got some watch levels applied to it, you'll outperform the build, and that's done on purpose. The next character is the one that I use for raids. So what I found was with my main character, I've got so many different builds for the DZ and then, you know, Heartbreaker Strikers. I play Legendary with that character, etc., etc. I just didn't have enough loadout slots to dedicate to basically the space that was going to be needed for the builds that are specific to the raid. So took a character and basically that's where all my raid gear goes. So if you notice that some of my mods are not maxed out, it's because this character has them or one of the other characters has them basically. So this basically is, you can see there's only 6 builds on here, but they're 6 very powerful builds. Main DPS build is this one. And from a stats perspective, it starts to get a little bit silly. We're at 58% crit chance, but we're 211 crit damage currently. Now, part of the reason that I need exotic components is the St. Elmo's engine that's on this character has crit damage, not damage to targets out of cover, which I would prefer. But, yeah, Ray, good to see you, man. We will see you in the next one. Typically, not always, but typically the way I do this is Sundays have been hit and miss simply because I'm back and forth to our old house. This is the place that I'm in here now is a newer house to us. And we're back and forth to the old one, getting it ready for sale. So that's typically what I'm doing on the weekends. So Sundays have been hit and miss. In a perfect world, I stream Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then try and get a video or 2 out a week. But anyway, I will be streaming again Tuesday night. Probably at 7 Eastern, not 6 Eastern. It just depends on, you know, getting supper ready, you know, finished up with my work day, getting supper ready. We've got 2 dogs, so dealing with the dogs, all that sort of stuff. But my wife is currently on vacation in Ireland, so it makes it that much easier. So I get to play a little bit more often, so that's probably, I won't promise that I'll be on at 6 Eastern, but probably be on at 6 Eastern. Same with Thursday night. Anyway, so this is my main DPS build. It's all red, coyotes, and each piece is chosen very specifically for this. And I can run this for you if you want. This thing absolutely melts NPCs. Caveat, I'm a relative noob to running the raids. So I've joined 2 different Discord servers that are community-based Discord servers that offer to carry you through your first couple of raids. One is Omen Gaming, OMEN, and the other one is Tuxedo Banditos Discord. So I started on Tuxus. I followed one of the guys that used to lead that over to Omen Gaming, just because I like hanging out with him basically. when you first start doing this, you don't necessarily need to understand the dynamic of what's going on and the strategies and all that sort of stuff. Your job is basically DPS. So it's park yourself here, shoot every NPC that comes through there. So, and that's what this one is. So let's go back to the stats for a second. Decent weapon damage. Basically, it's high crit chance and silly high crit damage with really good headshot damage. You do have unlisted on here damage to targets out of cover, and this is important to understand, is the damage to targets out of cover that comes from Fox's Prayers doesn't show up in the stats page for whatever reason. It just doesn't. There's no damage to targets out of cover shown here. It shows armor damage if there is any. It shows health damage, but it doesn't show damage to targets out of cover. So it's important to understand that amplified damage is in there. So the way this build gets set up is it's 3 pieces of Providence, 1 piece of Grupo, Fox's Prayer, and Coyotes. Now I'm going to go through that a little bit slower. Before I got St. Elmo's, I ran a Police M4 in its place to the same RPM. Police M4 is, or was, I think, 50 or 54% crit chance and 197% crit chance, or crit damage rather. This one just has better mods, so I reconfigured the build around it. So Coyotes we've talked about already. So I'm running the named backpack from Providence called the Gift, which gives you perfect vigilance. It increases total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables the buff for 3 seconds. The only difference between perfect and regular vigilance is this time. Perfect is 3 seconds, regular vigilance is 4. So it's not a massive difference. But I have this one, so I'm using it. Next piece of Providence is the chest piece. This one's running Obliterate, and everything basically is weapon damage, crit damage, and crit chance with crit damage mods. That's the template, if you will. Providence gloves. This is currently weapon handling because on my original build it was crit chance. With the St. Elmo's, it has a 20% crit chance mod on there, so I was well and truly over the cap. So I switched this to weapon handling, which gives you better stability and accuracy and takes my reload speed for this particular gun down to 1.6 seconds. And that compares to 2.1 seconds for a regular Police M4. So you're firing more, which increases your total DPS. I did the same thing on which piece was it? One of the other pieces I put weapon handling on. Yeah, it was the Gift. So I had to take 2 crit chance attributes off and put weapon handling in its place. I could have gone to headshot damage, but I wanted to get the reload speed down. So that's, and I mean, who doesn't like accuracy and stability? It turns an already, I mean, the St. Elmo's already beams, and it just turns it into an absolute laser rifle. So it's a lot of fun to run. The Grupo is so that you get the 15% extra crit damage. It's crit weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage. And then the last piece again is the Fox's Prayers with crit damage. And that's the build in a nutshell. The skills, the Revive Hive is a must if you're running a raid, because they're not going to have time to pick you up. Excuse me. And then your other skill is determined by the room that you're in and which boss you're going after. For some of the early rooms, I run it exactly as you see here with the shield. For most other rooms, it's either the turret, if that's needed, or it's the chem launcher with riot foam. That's pretty much, you're going to use riot foam a fair bit. The reason you can get away with not using a shield when you're on a raid is there's always a healer, and you just stick near the healer. And just excuse me for a second while I finish this popsicle before it completely melts on me. So stand by one. Sorry about that. And you're on purpose choosing to use the demolitionist. And this is chosen for two fairly specific reasons when you're running the raid. You can ignore explosions once every 60 seconds, so that helps increase your own personal survivability. And then the other one, you and all your party members gain an additional 5% damage to targets out of cover. So those are the benefits from the build itself. And then specific to Dark Hours, which is the airport raid that you can get the Eagle Bearer from. Oh, goodness, what's the boss? It's the Razorback. In order to expose its critical surfaces, you need to hit it with a crossbow to unlock it. Then you throw a grenade in, or in this case, you fire a grenade from the grenade launcher in, and that exposes the critical damage surfaces so that you can do the damage to take it down. So it's a little bit differently, it's a little different from the Razorback that you see when you do the Keener mission at the end of Warlords of New York. Same general concept, but in order to expose those panels on the faces, there's a window or a door you have to open. And again, it's a two-step process. Somebody hits it with a crossbow, and then someone hits it with a grenade. And this is a little bit better way to do it than throwing a grenade. So that's just typically the way it works. So that's the reason for the pieces on this build. There's also a negotiator's build. Headhunter is different than what you would think. And it's running Nemesis. Again, on purpose. You're running a baker's dozen because of the perfect lucky shot. If you miss a shot, it doesn't take anything from your magazine. But most of your damage from this build is actually going to come from the D50. And on this, you're running Optimist, which sounds like an odd choice. But if you know that you're going to be taking a big headshot on a boss, you run this down to a single round so that Optimist is fully primed. And then the rest of the damage comes from the Dodge City Gunslinger's holster. When you swap to your pistol, the first shot consumes these stacks, so it takes 30 seconds to stack it up so that you basically you don't have your pistol drawn while you're stacking it up because, again, you're doing a boss and you know you're going to be doing this. Consumes the buff and deals plus 10% damage per stack, and it's 100 stacks, so it's 100,000% weapon damage is what it does. So you can get, I've seen 60-something million damage single shots from a D50 on bosses, and you just one-shot them. There's a couple of other steps that are involved, but that's basically it. So that's, yes, you are taking shots with the sniper rifle with this build, but it's primarily used for exactly the way I just described it. You're also doing a pulsing with the Achilles Pulse. So it's not necessarily a headshot. In some cases, it is a critical or a weak point shot. Because again, with this one, it identifies the weak shots, highlights them, and causes damage to these areas to take headshot damage. So again, you can proc the Achilles Pulse. Two guys with this same build can take shots at different weak points and just do stupid damage. I mean, you can one-shot bosses that normally take 5 minutes to kill. So, but I need this D50 for what I wanted to show you, and I think the Hunter's Fury pieces are on here as well. No. 60 million. Yeah, from a pistol. It's silly to watch. So let's see if we can do it in the real world.
Have you heard?
Heard what?
About Waller.
No. What's the latest? Has he decided Russia's responsible after
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. The people that I play or that I've been playing with on the raids have been raiding for a very long time,
They couldn't revive
and the speedrun community is very active, and they talk a lot to each other. So that's basically what it comes down to is. So. Missed.
We need to get more involved. Radar target.
Missed.
Getting more ammo. I got you.
But I missed the headshot, or I missed the crit, but
There will be
it was 14.8 million damage from a single D50 round. This is not my favorite build to run, by the way. I don't enjoy this one. So let's get back out of combat. Might be classed. No, I'm out of combat. So we're back to just the regular DPS build. We're only on hard. There's no directives. But it's frankly silly damage.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Crap. Yeah, I'm in deep shit now.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
The downside of any DPS build is exactly this.
Serious trauma detected.
DP captured. Good job.
Doesn't help when you panic and miss every shot.
Reinforcements en route. Detecting additional hostile contacts.
But yeah, it's quite frankly ludicrous damage.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
So that's the raid build.
Supply room access unlocked.
It's all about taking out specifically targeted NPCs as rapidly as you possibly can. So that's the reason for it. So we'll actually go back to the White House and store the weapon, which is really all I came here for. And I think the Headhunter or the Hunter's Fury pieces are all on my secondary character. So we'll go grab those real quick, and then we'll do it on my main.
Entering safe area.
Let me be your one-stop shop.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm putting together on my main is something that I recorded a video probably a month. Well, it was before they nerfed Determined the first time, so it was a month, 6 weeks ago, something like that, where I'm doing, I think it was on hard with 4 directives,
Hostile
just farming.
now active.
And
Safe area detected.
that was basically the video in a nutshell. So we want the D50. We're going to have to reconfigure that. Don't remember all the pieces that were in here. Now I'm going to keep Punch Drunk. And
unplug all electronic devices that are not in use. Thank you for your cooperation.
okay. So it's still running the Punch Drunk. We're going to run, and did I pick it up? Yes. All right. So let's see how close to maxing this out we can come. We want pistols, D50. We're going to change that to Determined. We're going to run the Revive Hive. And yeah, I apologize here for a second, guys. I'm on call and the phone's ringing, so I will be right back. Sorry about that. I am back. What the hell is going on? Just optimizing this stuff real quick to see how far I can take it. And I apologize if I'm a little bit sweary, but every time I hit escape, it brings up the Windows menu, which should not be doing that. So then weird. Okay. So this is designed as a pistol build, hence the reason, and it sounds counterintuitive, for Hunter's Fury, because I'm going to be getting close and personal with people, which means that the Apex Predator buff is going to be activated, which gives me amplified damage. So enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff, amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. So I'm getting 25% amp damage just by being close. The two-piece bonus is not going to help us. I'm not using a shotgun or an SMG, but I'm getting armor on kill and health on kill, which is definitely helpful for farming. And then everything is rolled headshot damage. From a stats perspective, it's terrible crit chance and crit damage. We're not worried about that, but you can see with my main, it's 317% headshot damage. With my secondary, which is the rifle, it's 200%, and with the D50, it's 220% headshot damage, which means we are going to be proccing Headhunter, or Perfect Headhunter rather, and the D50 has Determined on it, so I'm going to be able to take body shots with it. So, crying out loud. Do you know how annoying it is? The button you're used to pressing, nothing happens correctly when you do it. So let's go to there. And we'll see how quickly we can take them down. So we're on challenging 3 directives still. I'm going to be sticking to the D50 as much as possible. I might take the first headshot with the rifle just to get it procced.
Detected. Fire team protected by Guardian.
I don't think I had I should have taken 2 headshots first. Of course the phone rings right now.
Incoming hostiles detected.
Be right back.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
Flight Ops Barry Turner. Okay, so
Hostiles guarding location.
give me one
nearby.
sec. I'll be right back, guys. I'm back. When you guys grow up, don't go into management. Or just do like I do and don't ever actually grow up. Just, have a job. Anyway. I digress completely. I may have to do a game restart here because what you guys are not seeing at your end, but every time I hit escape, it's bringing up my start menu, which is just bizarre to me that it's doing that. And I think it's a game issue. You know what? It might be key bindings. But then how do I get to my key binding menu if I can't use escape? Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. So I tell you what, we're just going to carry on from here. So that was kind of a very quick run through where I wasn't really concentrating on what I was doing. So let's see if we can get this to proc properly.
Civilians in distress.
I think I've missed every fucking shot on this person.
Medical assistance needed.
Yep.
Agent out of action.
And I'm in deep shit when I get back up again.
Hostile control point identified.
Of course, the Guardian's hiding.
Incoming hostiles detected.
Determined is not proccing on the second shots with this gun.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
No, maybe it is. Well, that was close.
This is a warning to the division. Back the hell up before you get yourself killed. You have no idea who you're dealing with.
Civilians in danger. Husky detected.
The global event makes it challenging because you can't just pick the next person in line. You have to specifically start looking for the the shield or the guardians.
Manual override required.
So one thing to keep in mind is this is designed to be in close and pistol shots. I'm taking the shots at slightly too long a range. Could have sworn I saw something under here. I'm not just imagining things. Did you guys see the targets underground as well, or is I'm just hallucinating and maybe saw a squirrel? Yeah, Lazarus, the problem that I'm running into is how do you access the game menu that you need the escape key to get to when the escape key isn't working? And even for that matter, how do you gracefully exit the game? Because I can't bring up that menu. So we'll play with it as is a little bit longer. But just so that everybody knows, I'm starting to run on vapor here. It's been one of those weekends where I've been back and forth to, well, you guys probably don't know Nova Scotia, but I've been back and forth to Halifax, which is 800 kilometers of driving. Basically on Friday night, Saturday morning. And then doing drywall work at our old house, so it was, I'm tired. And I'm starting to notice it in my gameplay. Because I'm starting to miss a lot of shots that I would normally make.
The outcasts are coming. We will hunt you down. It's too late for you now.
That's a scheme to do.
You made your choice, and you will suffer for it.
But this is certainly another option for you for farming. It's just,
Halted.
it's different.
Manual override required.
Because most people start to lean into gear sets thinking, oh, I need this benefit and that benefit, you know, not thinking about, as an example with this one, the amplified damage. And you can see that this D50 just hit a 10 million headshot.
If we see you running with hyenas, we will not hesitate to
So we'll do one or two more open world things. I'm going to go up one more level, and then I'm going to call it a night, I think. Alt-Enter would force windowed full screen. Alt-F4 would force quit the game. Alt-Enter. Alt and Enter is acting as F4. So, yeah, I think the whole computer is going to need a restart, so. At some point, but we'll carry on from here. I know at the start of this, I started talking about damage and where damage comes from. If you guys want that depth of information, I cannot recommend Hutchler, Hutchler, highly enough. He's a speedrunner. He is one of the smartest dudes I've ever watched. You know, he talks about where damage comes from, how the math all works, etc., etc. So he's absolutely brilliant when it comes to stuff like that. And this guy's going to be a pain in my ass. Missed.
Incoming hostiles detected.
That's going to hurt.
Vital signs critical.
Yep.
Agent incapacitated.
Let me crawl behind cover first. Gah.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Watch your back.
Yeah, I'm in deep shit here. Yep.
Agent killed.
Friggin' named enemies. And no way to damage them.
Location guarded by hostiles.
Well, I shouldn't say no way, but you know what I mean. I'm going to see if those people are still there so I can at least get... Because I finished the event and then triggered them as they walked through. No, my civvies are gone. Lasai. Right? R.I.P. Man, I don't think Determined is procced on this at all. I couldn't hit that head to save my life, apparently. There we go.
Civilians in distress.
So, I think doing the math in my head, I've got enough levels to get that last, or to get 20 stars. So we'll see what we get for an exotic, if in fact I do have enough levels here.
Good to see you, kid.
Yep. That's getting deleted. Oh, he's gone. One thing I forgot to mention, hopefully he watches this back on the stream, and I'm talking about Ray, is about caches for exotics, and the best way to get them is the weekly SHD project, and I completely forgot to mention it. I can't show the card here, but the weekly SHD requisition gives you XP, a named item, and an exotic cache every week for the donation of some component, well, some resources. I've got 3 characters, so I do that 3 times a week. So Tuesday morning, I'm going to run all 3 through. Yeah, I know, right? Dr. Home. And I've already got one. But I'll be honest, at this point, I'm looking for the exotic component more than anything else. So we'll mark these all as junk. Oh, hang on, I saw all red. That is a perfect Grupo holster, so that I'm keeping. And I've already got one of these, so I'm going to mark that as junk as well. Check my recalibration for greens. I don't see anything. And I think I've only got one now. Yeah. So now the dilemma, do I leave? I'm going to hang on to it for a little bit. What I'm talking about is doing the reconfigure on the St. Elmo's that's on my raid character. I think I like the crit damage that's on there rather than the damage to targets out of cover. I haven't completely made my mind up. I think I'm probably going to convert it at some point. That's the way I've got this one set up, is or reconfigured to damage to targets out of cover. I think it cost me 7 or 8 exotic components to do that originally. It's I'm having terrible luck with random RNG, basically, with the St. Elmo's engine getting it reconfigured. So anyway, oh, here's a neat trick. If you know that you're going to mark all of these as junk, and you don't want to go through it item by item and line by line, if you go to a vendor, that we want to keep. That we want to keep. But you can just do this right here at the vendor. And then bring this back up and hold down tab to deconstruct them all. So it's a quick way to do it. I don't remember to do that every time, but mostly because I've been deconstructing everything rather than splitting it, but I think I'm maxed out on receiver components and protective fabric, so I need to start selling stuff. Still receiver components, but definitely protective fabric. So basically, I'm trying to make a mental note to myself that I'm going to sell gear and deconstruct weapons for the next little bit until I get that back under control. Yeah, damage to targets out of cover definitely helps. The thing that you have to remember for PvE is once an NPC has ducked into cover, they have to move not just out of cover up, but they have to move away from whatever it is before the game considers them to be out of cover. So bear that in mind. It's not always as effective as you think it is. So that's kind of what's running through my head is I might leave the crit damage on it because of the build that it's on, because my crit damage on that build is what, 211% or something like that. So so that's one thing to keep in mind. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up at this point. So we covered a lot of different builds. I didn't put any builds together specifically based on comments, and that was something I had intended to do, and then I saw a squirrel and chased after a rabbit, so to speak, and went down a different hole. But in the comments, if there's builds that you want to see or explore for Tuesday night, I'm not. This video will get put back up as a video. It takes the YouTube algorithm 12, 14 hours because it's a long video. Basically what it's doing behind the scenes is this gets saved on YouTube and will be published or republished under the live tab on my channel. But it'll be midday tomorrow before this is back to HD because it takes it that long to process everything. This stuff I love doing. That figures. I get Delta Tactical or tactically delted. That's the type of stuff that I love working on the live streams is based on your comments. So with that in mind, I'm going to sign off. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic evening, and excuse me, we will see you on Tuesday night. Take care, everyone.